What is up, everybody, and welcome to Happy Hour Hoops. Happy Hour Hoops, strictly playoff edition tonight. We're in the thick of it, boys. Some teams
Oh my gosh.
already on their way to the second round. Other teams, like the Miami Heat, an 8 seed, throwing haymakers at the 1 seed Bucks in the Eastern Conference. Guys, we're going to go over both conferences, all games, but I think it's only right if we start with last night and Jimmy Butler and one of the greatest playoff performances I've ever seen.
Yeah, he had a decent game. I think what was most impressive about it, in my opinion, was obviously the end was incredible. Everyone was watching fourth quarter what he did, but he was the only reason the Heat were really in the game at the start. First quarter, 22 points, 9 of 10 shooting, 23 points, something like that, kept the Heat in it. I mean, talk about carrying a team. Talk about carrying a team for a series. Jimmy Butler's done that, but last night was a masterclass, is what I called it, where from start to finish, he was locked in. It wasn't like, oh, this guy just kind of went off at the end and everyone was jumping up. No, from start to finish, he kept the Heat in that game and eventually got the win for him with some of the clutchest shots at the end. For a guy, too, who people don't say isn't a great outside shooter, especially in the regular season. Dude, the type of shots he was making at the end of the game, it was just automatic. It was as Jimmy buckets as you're ever gonna get. It was just a joy to watch. And now, like, they only got to win one. They only got to win one to take out the 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks.
It's actually insane, man.
I need to eat all the crow in the world because I was pushing away this Miami team even after the play-in was like, whatever. And Jimmy just,
I think you and everyone else, dude.
Yeah,
bro, but like I was in disbelief. Just like the first quarter was like, okay, you know what you were getting from Jimmy tonight, but they weren't. They were still
been
down.
Doing it every game.
Yeah, they're still down, and you're just like, okay, down by 8. Like this is gonna balloon into like 18 quick here. We're gonna go back tied, and he just wouldn't. And it's up to 12, I think, with like 7 minutes left around there, and then he's just like, nah, I'll just go crazy. 20 points in the last 6 minutes, whatever it is, and just like you said, Steve, the shot making was amazing. It was a joy to watch. How crazy is it that he now owns the Miami Heat playoff all-time scoring record for a game with the historic players that have played in that franchise, including one who had a pretty good performance last night. He is outperforming all of that. But Jimmy, I mean, they're, like you said, on the brink. It's 3-1, bro. I thought Milwaukee was gonna sweep them, get them out of here, and now Miami. Like, do you think that Milwaukee has a chance? Either of you?
I mean,
I think they have the best chance of probably any team that's ever been down 3-1, honestly.
True. But they got to win in Miami. And I'll tell you what, the Miami last night, that does not look like an easy place to win. It's crazy, but – and it's also, too, like you look at from Milwaukee's side, it's not like they didn't play bad. Giannis had a triple-double in his first game back. Like, he shot decent. Brook Lopez has been out of his mind. The only one who really struggled was Drew Holiday. Other than that,
you watched the first 3.5 quarters, you would have thought Milwaukee, no contest, won that game.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Jimmy just willed them to a win. And now when that happens, the whole series is up in the air now.
I think – go ahead, Steve. Finish.
No, I'm just saying, Johnny, as a Boston guy, you got to be a little excited to a chance where not only Milwaukee gets taken out, but Cleveland could possibly be taken out as well by the Knicks.
I'd be more worried about the Knicks than the Cavs at this point anyway. So,
yes, I would say Boston fans are giddy just watching this series in general, even if Milwaukee somehow comes back and wins. I think Jimmy Butler proved a few more things. I think Jimmy Butler proved 3 things last night because I feel like his narrative was always the same, where it's like, Jimmy can do this in the playoffs. We know this, right? But he went Jimmy buckets last night. He proved how bad the rest of the Heat's cast actually is, because you look at that box score, and yes, Jimmy had a great game. He sticks out. It's actually like gross the little help he got.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the difference between Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, and Caleb Martin? What's the difference? on any
you could
given
honestly
night.
throw Duncan into that
Caleb Martin
conversation.
can play defense.
Okay,
Yeah.
Caleb Martin does play
A little bit
defense.
of defense.
Because every time every time I'm not paying attention, I see one of them like hit a three. I'm just like, oh man, this is like a 33% shot of who I think actually made that shot. Because they really look all like they all do the same exact thing, and maybe that's the point. Like that's exactly what they need, right? From that exact position.
Yeah,
But Dunny's exactly right. Like he's exactly right. You look, Bam has not played well in the play-in or in this series, and then you look. Obviously, losing Hero was big. He's been very bad, and he's been getting bullied down low. And you look at obviously you lose Hero, but someone's got to step up, and it's like you're playing Duncan Robinson 30 minutes a night, but he's not taking many shots. He's not. What is Duncan Robinson there to do? He's just there to shoot threes. He's not shooting that much right now.
Yeah,
Lowry.
He started hot too, and then he kind of just went away.
And just disappeared. Just started running track out there. And there's really no one else stepping up as the number two. So you're right. If there's a team that's going to overcome 3-1, it's Milwaukee, because I think Heat supporting cast just has done nothing. But if you get a decent Bam game, which we've seen multiple times this year, Jimmy's not going away. Jimmy's still going to be being Jimmy. You look at this, the Heat are up 3-1 in a series where outside of Jimmy Butler, you could say pretty much everyone else on the Miami Heat's underperforming in this series.
Yeah, and just the last two things I want to say that I think Jimmy proved last night is that because every season it's, Jimmy's better than people give him credit for, right? He's much better than people give him credit for. Like that was literally one of the best basketball performances I have ever seen in my entire life. Like forget playoffs, regular season, by a Heat player, just all time. Mm-hmm. And then the final thing is that Milwaukee can be beaten. Yeah. Like they have them back against the wall right now. And I think Bucks fans are going to use and have a slight excuse of Giannis being injured because he was clearly banged up. Like he was wincing, but he had a triple-double.
He was wobbling around, but that's just how good he is.
Played well. Yeah. Like he's still Giannis. You can't just leave him alone. It's not like another guy comes back from injury and it kind of changes. It's still Giannis.
You can't move him.
Right.
You can't move him. Like he might not be able to move, but they're not going to be able to move him, and so he can still be effective. He still gets those, high elbow touches, and the Heat are still collapsing on him like he's terrifying, because really he is. Like he can still be deadly even if he's not exploding to the rim. I talked to one of my Bucks fans friends today at work, and he was despondent. I don't know if I told you guys this already. He was grieving. He's basically done. So that's where the Bucks fans, at least in my life, have went to, and it's because of Jimmy Butler. They're just scared of the boogeyman, and I don't blame them at that point, right?
Yeah. I think he's instilling fear in everyone right now.
And I think, Dunny, you were the one who brought up, too, you were concerned a little bit about Milwaukee bench this playoffs. Another game where the bench was very lackluster from Milwaukee. Bobby Portis has not looked, ever since Malcolm Brogdon got sixth man of the year, Bobby took the earth. And, I mean, Connaughton, Ingles, very lackluster. I mean, it was very meh, and you got to have some help, especially when Giannis come back from injury. You have to have someone else step up. Usually it's been Drew. Brooke Lopez has played very well. Honestly, this entire season, Brooke Lopez has surprised me how well he's played.
Yeah.
It's the bench is coming back to bite him a little bit. It really is.
Grayson Allen only 8 points in 33 minutes last night. Like that's not the help that you want to be getting from a guy like him. Connaughton, same thing, 8 points in 21 minutes. I feel like both those guys, they started okay last night, but just kind of went away as the Heat were chipping away at this lead. And I don't know. I think you can chalk probably all of this up to just Jimmy Butler taking all of the energy out of everyone in this game and just making it his. But end of the day, Bucks down 3-1 to the Miami Heat. I mean, everyone's anticipating that next game in that series. Should we?
You guys see the before we move on from this? Did you see the little video clip I sent you guys? Because looking ahead to this game 5, quick. Adam Lefkoe with a great point about Jimmy after these games. After they win, they're 1-6.
Crazy.
Jimmy only averages 22 points, and they lose by an average of 11. So,
and I think we expect Milwaukee. Even if we don't expect Milwaukee to win the series, we expect them to come out firing in Game 5.
Yeah, but they're going to.
We expect Milwaukee to do everything, double team Jimmy the whole game. They're just going to come out firing. Giannis is going to be rim running the entire game. That's what I expect. But like you said too, it only just takes one win. Even if Milwaukee comes out and kills them by 30, they still got to go back to Miami and win. Mm-hmm. That's not an easy task.
We'll see. It's going to be fun. Who would have thought, man? I thought they were dead to rights.
Hey,
I was
and you know what? Maybe the Heat just said, let's take off that game against Atlanta because we don't want to play the Celtics.
Isn't that that's a great theory, right?
Maybe they're like, we don't want to play Boston. We match up well against Milwaukee. And
I posed that question, and I was like, I had to walk it back because I was like, wait, why would they fear us and not Milwaukee? The way the series has panned out, there is some glaring holes that Miami's able to expose on the Miami defense.
They're only afraid of Giannis. If Brook Lopez is going to score 37, fine. Like, you're okay with that. Like, that's not like, if you're going to lose because Brook's scoring 37, what can you do? And that's what it comes down to. And Drew has not been very good. Like, Drew has been pretty inconsistent this series. And so when you go to that and Jimmy he's far and away the best guy on the floor. Like, it's not even close.
And Drew, who Jimmy was abusing all of last night, or for the better part of it. Mm-hmm. He was he's had a few nice strips on him. One notably on a fast break that was very impressive. But the rest of the game, Jimmy was getting anywhere he wanted on Middleton. Drew, it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this series has been amazing so far. Heat 3-1. Let's jump right over to the Lakers. Grizzlies, because that game last night was just amazing. Another 3-1 series, but it's fun just because of the drama. Low seed beating up on the high seed. Dylan Brooks has officially been eviscerated by LeBron James.
He wanted it, bro. He asked for it.
He did.
He really did. He said, I love to poke bears. And then you see LeBron screaming into the camera, going for his and one in overtime. I mean, Memphis, they asked for all of this, really. Like, I'm a person that truly just to get deep here, not deep, just believes in karma and sports karma. And really, Memphis is everything that is happening to the Memphis Grizzlies for this season. They have asked for. The clip about Ja has gone around so much, but of course, circulating more often today about we're fine in the West and now down 3-1 in round 1. Like, this team just asked for it, and LeBron is like, I will gladly give this to you too. Like, you are asking for it. Here, I will take this from you. And I mean, the Lakers, they're not even getting their A game out of the Lakers yet right now. Like, Davis sucked.
No,
Davis was horrible.
He really hasn't been.
He's good one game. He's been in one game. And they're up 3-1 on the 2 seed. So, like, this team is the rest of the West has got to be terrified. And especially on that side of the bracket, when we talk about that other series, Warriors Kings, neither of those teams can play no fucking defense. So what are they going to do to the Lakers shooters and LeBron? Like, what are they going to do to deal with it? And I don't know what the Lakers are going to do with that high pace and everything. I'm sure it's going to be a clash of styles for sure. But it really, like, the Lakers match up well the way they've played in this series against the Grizzlies. It's just but Memphis. It comes down to Memphis more than like the LeBron thing is cool. It was awesome to see, huge moment, everything. The layup was great, but it comes down to Memphis has asked for this, and this is what they're getting.
I think it was even without Ja getting injured in this series and the Dylan Brooks saga and poking the bear. Like, I mean, we kind of all had a hunch and like said it wouldn't be a bad idea to bet the Lakers before the series and all of these things. Like, it was the writing was almost on the wall. It's like once. Like Brandon Clark, no Steven Adams for this Grizzlies team. Ja and Desmond Bain can really only carry you so far. Jaren Jackson Jr. has had some very shiny moments in this series, but he hasn't been peak JJJ. Like, I don't know. It's almost like obvious, but like since the series has been exciting and there's been drama, I feel like it's been clouding that. But no one should be surprised. This is a 3-1 series. I think the Lakers have the better team on paper right now. They're more healthy. They don't have anything really going on like the Grizzlies do within their locker room. I mean, pick your thing with Ja or the Dylan Brooks saga. Shannon Sharp's 2-0 now. Anytime he attends a Grizzlies-Lakers game, it's an exciting series. Again, I think it's similar to the Heat Bucks, other than I believe a lot more in the Bucks than I do the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I was going to say. Do you think the Grizzlies have a chance in this series?
I don't.
I don't either. I don't either.
I think they kind of dug their own grave. Like I literally think Dylan Brooks gave the whole team shovels, and they're just digging their grave.
It's not even like LeBron, like the 22 rebounds is one thing. I mean, obviously that's amazing for him to be doing it in any regard at this point. But he has not been the scorer, and Davis hasn't been the scorer at all for them. Really, they've been scoring great, but Reeves has been consistent.
They won the lottery with Austin Reeves at the end of this year. I mean, Austin Reeves don't grow on trees. I don't know where he came from, but no one expected this type of production from Reeves, and now he's becoming not only is he becoming a go-to option in the playoffs, he's right up there with LeBron and AD in terms of the minutes he plays each night. He is the I would say the third guy in this offense right now. If you look,
LeBron trusts him so much, dude. There's so many times in the last 5 minutes.
42 minutes last night.
Yeah, in the last 5 minutes, Bron's running up court, and who's the first person he chucks the ball to, even before he's crossing that court? It's fucking Reeves. It's like 7 times in a row. He's like, oh, he's just throwing it to Reeves to make something happen. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is not
23, 4, and 6 last night for Reeves.
Another great game.
It's not crazy that he's doing it anymore. It's just crazy big picture that we are at this point with the Lakers, and we're like worrying about who is going to be a contributor for this team all season long. And it was the guy was sitting there on their roster just blossoming in front of everybody's eyes, and no one really thought it was going to keep, accelerating. And it really it kept going to a point now where he's legit, like, could be a third guy on a title contending team at this point.
And it looks like he's a third guy in a title contending team right now. And you look at the other guys they get, I say this every time, the guys they acquired at the deadline, Vanderbilt, Rui, they're doing what they need to do. They're doing what they need to do. Russell doing what he needs to do.
D'Lo was bad all game, and he came up clutch, like in that little moment that he needed to. Like
and when D'Lo's bad, bring on Schroeder, because LeBron trusts Schroeder, and it's just they have a good team around LeBron, and it just seems like it's clicking at the right time. It's scary.
It really it's like the perfect old man LeBron team. Honestly, he just looks like he's orchestrating every little thing out there. And they're so much fun to watch. Like, and thinking of comparing them to the Grizzlies, who we thought were so much fun to watch last year, and they're kind of miserable to watch at this point. And the Lakers are one of the most fun teams and one of the interesting teams, I guess, in this playoffs, specifically with the matchup they'll go here. I don't know. I'm excited about the prospect of a long Lakers run. Obviously, you guys, and if there's a Lakers Celtics potential finals going into the second round, the NBA is going to know that too. I'm just gonna say that. Like, the NBA knows that they know exactly what we're talking about right now when they see those two lining up potentially and everything they can get. Just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind for some big game 5s, 6s, 7s down the road. I think we'll get it here too. There's some big this Kings Warriors series is going to be very interesting these last 3 games. I'm just saying. I'm just like refereeing and everything else in general. Yeah. But
you guys want to move to that series, or you anything else?
You guys have anything
Lakers
else?
Grizz?
Yeah, no,
I hate to be boring about the series, but I just after last night, I just kind of think the Grizzlies are dead.
Yeah,
Ja can do what he can do, but
is LeBron-led Lakers team right now letting up a 3-1 lead? That would just be. It would be a catastrophe if it happened, like a legitimate catastrophe. So.
Yeah, so we're kind of digging. We're helping the Grizzlies dig their own grave. Happy Hour Hoops is in on it. They're probably toast. Kings Warriors, probably the best series in the first round. I would say,
probably.
without question. 2-2, going back to Sacktown, Sacramento. Where are you guys at? I know we all had our predictions. Mine's already out the window. I said Dubs in 5, and now I have no idea what to think.
It's exactly how I expected it. I thought the Kings would win the first 2, Warriors win the next 2, and I think they're going to split these next 2, and then it's going to be Game 7. Can Steph get the Warriors to a win? It's just the home court advantage. I don't know what has happened with Golden State this year, but they are a completely different team, home versus on the road, and you saw it again. Although I got to give the Kings credit, the first game in Golden State, that was a tough one. That was a tough one. Yep. You knew it was a bad spot. You knew the Warriors weren't going down 3-0. But this second game, man, if there's any team in the NBA that could score with the Warriors, it's the Sacramento Kings. And they showed that. De'Aaron Fox has been sensational. He's showed why he's been one of the best players all year long. Malik Monk off the bench, you got to give him some props because he's that second scorer sometimes that they need. And Murray finally showed up. Keegan Murray finally showed up in a playoff game. Finally, but it was a big-time show up. Unfortunately, they didn't win the game, but they really gave a nice fight to the Warriors. The Warriors look great. Andrew Wiggins has, I was surprised how quickly he's just gotten right back in the flow of the whole Warriors offense. It's like he's been playing with them for the past 3 months. And we know what Klay is. He can be streaky sometimes, but Klay's been all right. But it's Curry, man. We're talking about playoff Jimmy Butler has been the best of the playoffs so far. It's hard not to give the silver medal to Steph Curry right now because Steph Curry has been playoff Curry once again. And I'll tell you what, if this game goes 7, I don't care if it's on the road. It's going to be very hard for me to talk myself out of Steph Curry willing the Warriors to another series win.
Yeah. Makes sense, man. I mean, they looked great at home, but
Fox being hurt too is not. I mean, he said they know he's going to play Wednesday, but injury to your shooting hand, not great. Sabonis has been just not a shell of himself. It's not like he's been bad, but
it's mediocre.
And
it's also, and I think coming into the series is a bad matchup for Sabonis, right?
Exactly.
Going up against Draymond, just not how he can't play his game the way.
And Draymond cooked in game 4. He was awesome. He was awesome all game coming off the suspension. I picked the Kings in 7, and Steve, now watching 4 games, guys, I don't know if I can pick against Steph in a game 7, honestly. Yeah. I just don't think I can at this point. I mean, I think it's going to go to 7. I think exactly like you said, it's going to play out the same script we thought. But if it gets to that atmosphere in Sacramento and the way he's playing, it won't be a silver. If Jimmy closes out and they win in 5 or 6, I'll give it to Steph if they win in 7 because he has been fucking awesome, like as good as he's ever been. And like just because it's 2-2, like he even in those losses, the only reason they were even in that game there is because of Steph. Like
he hasn't been that bad defensively in this series either.
No, not at all. And he's found different ways to like attack them. Like every game he's got something different. Like you don't know what's coming at them. He's keeping them off kilter defensively. It's been a masterclass by Steph, honestly.
His defense has been better. He's averaging 31.5 points. 49% shooting, 40% from 3, 95% from the free throw line. I mean, that's Steph Curry, right? And that is peak Steph Curry.
What more do you want?
On the other side, De'Aaron Fox. Did you guys think it was weird? I know, like you said, Jake, shooting hand, always, tough when the injuries to your shooting hand, but fracture in one of his fingers, correct? Is the injury diagnosis? Yes. Did you guys ever actually think he was going to miss game 5 though? I feel like people were making doubtful
when it first came out, right?
Yeah.
They didn't expect him to play.
I guess the injury designation doesn't help, and the report from the team doesn't help. But when I saw what the injury was, and just how Fox, knowing the player who Fox is, knowing where this series is at, they're going back to Sacramento. I was like, I kind of thought the whole time, there's no way Fox is missing this game. But I guess that makes sense. The injury report from the team being doubtful, that probably swayed people's opinion. But I thought people were in an uproar when I was like, I don't expect Fox to miss this game. And I'm happy he isn't because
I want him out there, yeah.
It's not going to change up too much, right? He may not be shooting as much from the outside, but that's never really his big strength. It may be a lot more driving with Fox, but I don't think it's going to change up too much. We'll see. But like you said, Donnie, if there's anyone who's just going to play through it, it's going to be De'Aaron Fox. He knows that he's the heart and soul of this team. And they got a lot of good players, but this team goes as far as Fox takes them.
And Fox can impact the game in so many ways just because how fast, he's probably the fastest and most athletic player in this series.
Yeah.
He just put the ball in his hands. Yeah, probably is. He doesn't have to have, he doesn't have to be shooting all the outside jumpers in the world, like you mentioned. I mean, he was doing that last game and it worked great, but he doesn't need to do that to impact the game. I think, I think you guys are right at this point now. I thought it was going to be Dubs in 5, but the way the home team looks every game in this series, it might as well just go 7 because I think Sacramento nearly closed it in Golden State last time. I think they go out win Game 5 next game.
Yeah. It's for me, it's either Warriors in 6 or Warriors in 7 at this point. Like if the Kings win this game, Warriors win the next 2. If the Warriors sneak this one, then I mean the blood in the water at home and Golden State.
It's over. If the Warriors have a chance to close out the series at home, if they can sneak out a win tomorrow, it's over.
Yeah.
I think that's probably true. All right, Jake, should we do it? Should we go here next?
I guess so. Whatever.
No.
Another 3-1 series. That's the only bummer.
I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed. No, I'm a little mad.
It's been sad to watch. It's
guys.
I mean, it's last week. I pretty much all my complaints about last week. It's pretty much all the same stuff. So I don't have a lot to say again. Like it's the same story. So it's just been a slow, dragged out, painful death. Like just one by one, just like death by 1,000 Jalen Brunson Euro steps and pull-ups and whatever else he does. It's Game 4 wasn't the most disappointing thing about Game 4 is Donovan Mitchell showing some F word qualities that have followed him around his whole career. And that's a moment where you go look to that guy Sunday, noon or 1 o'clock, whatever time, Madison Square Garden in front of all your family and friends. Like you want that to be like the moment, right? Like go ball out, make this 2-2, go home. And he didn't show up at all. Like he just didn't show up at all. The opposite of that. And Garland didn't show up except for like one stretch, really, for like a hot stretch where he couldn't
just in
miss.
The third.
Then he can't do anything. Jared Allen, the Knicks are just not afraid of Jared Allen. Like nicest guy in the world. They're just not afraid of him. And him and Mobley like are impossible on the floor, except for the fact that they're basically ruining Julius Randle's life. And Julius Randle skips a press conference of a game where they won. How crazy! They didn't
play him in the.
I know they didn't play him, but your team just won a playoff game and you're skipping the press conference. It's crazy, and that's a Charles thing too that he said the other day on. So I'm taking that, but I agree with him because it's how do you like it? Just what that'd be a worrisome thing if they weren't just like dominating this team. Now the Cavs I think could win tomorrow night. I mean, they could go on an onslaught. The threes could start falling at home. The crowd's going to be hyped. Like Chetty might go off for 27. Honestly, that's my prediction is Chetty's going to have like 27 points tomorrow. It's going to be that dumb game because we're due for it. How many times I told you guys?
Or the Chetty game. One of these
or the LeVert 47-point LeVert game. Like one of them's going to go off and they'll go into Madison Square Garden Game 6. And then it'll be the test of everything about this young team, right? And JB. Like there's a lot of like litmus tests happening for the Cavs. I think the Knicks already kind of went through their litmus test. This is a team that's like been building, and Brunson was kind of like the final piece to the build. And they look like a team that was just ready. They've just been more ready, like for the moment more than anything else. The Cavs have gotten shook for too long in too many stretches of these games. That's the biggest thing I take away from it.
Yeah, man. This series is so weird to me because it's literally just such a reverse of what I originally thought was going to happen. I did not think I know the Knicks can be physical and they have good defenders, but like who has been the guy we've been just begging to show up all year? RJ Barrett, and now like what a time to do it. He comes out of nowhere
chanting his name like RJ just all night.
We thought Randall was going to be banged up in this series, and like he's been pretty good up until last game. I don't know what Tibbs is going to play who he wants to play. I'm with you, Jake. I think that was crazy that he didn't do media because he didn't play down the stretch. It's not
his series, bro. Like he's not going to, his game is bully ball and you got Mobley and Allen all the game. Like even if they're struggling in other regards,
but you want to talk about bully ball. Allen and Mobley are getting bullied by Mitchell Robinson on the other end.
Yeah,
dude. I see Mitchell Robinson. Wob tweeted about Mitchell Robinson game 1. Like Cavs fans are going to see Mitchell Robinson offensive rebounds in their nightmares. And then one. He got one like 2 seconds later after that, and I was like, oh no. And it's been the whole series. Just every game, I'm just like,
it has. And that's the thing. If you're going to play both Mobley and Jared Allen in the court at the same time, which the Cavs have done a decent amount of in this series.
You can't get
out rebounded. You can't get out physical. Like That's anything else,
Exactly.
cold shooting, whatever. Throw that out the door. If RJ Barrett's going nuts, who cares? Throw that out the door. You just can't get outworked on the rebounds like the Cavs have. That's where it's been embarrassing.
You know what, guys? Though they were a bad matchup for the Cavs all year, and we just kind of wanted to ignore it and be like, like they were guys missing, all this other stuff. They're the only team that can match the Cavs bully ball and just come right at them. Yeah. Apparently, it's because of Mitchell Robinson. Like, fuck, I don't know. It's insane. I didn't think the Cavs would get, I'm like back and forth. Like I get really mad, like sometimes thinking about it because it's a missed opportunity, especially with how the other series is played out with Miami and Milwaukee. Like you're looking at that. But the way the Cavs are playing right now, I think Jimmy would just alpha every single Cavalier, like slowly and surely, and it would be like an easiest sweep in their life or whatever. But it's also a team that this is their first playoff experience ever. And the first one in the franchise's first in 25 years without the guy who's literally still winning playoff games across the country. So it's a big like mental thing, I think, that they're working through right now, which I think a lot of Cavs fans took for granted, like the pressure that they probably are feeling internally from these different kinds of factors, specifically Mitchell, who definitely holds himself to that like heir apparent standard. We know how highly he thinks of himself, but they got to figure it out, man. The shots got to fall. You got to be more loose. Like everything looks so hard for them. Like, and that's not there. And they've had stretches like that offensively this year, but they were not like 4 games in a row where it looked hard. And they had the onslaught game 2. And I think that's that's the formula. The rest of the series, that's what this team, but they float back and forth between teams that can't do anything offensively and that team. And there hasn't been enough of that kind of free flowing offense. And I think it's still the guards just, one of them is getting clamped up every game. And it's hard when you don't have anybody else doing anything else. Like how many guys do you trust on that roster at this point, guys? Like 3?
Yeah.
Like 3 total, like Mitchell, Garland, and then like a half of another guy.
Half of Mobley.
A half of Mobley and a quarter of LeVert and Allen. Like
and a 16th of Okoro.
No, Okoro. Poor Okoro.
180 again, Tony. Another 180.
Dude. Listen. He has not hit a single 3 in this series.
I'm well aware.
But with the Cavs need, and it's like I feel like we talked about this, and this is what every Cavs fan and us were pushing for at the deadline. Is like they need that wing defender / scorer, right? They need a wing who can do a little bit of both to help because interior, Allen, Mobley, when they show up, they're fine defending the interior. I just feel like they can't defend the wing.
Josh Hart would have been awesome.
What's that?
Josh Hart would have been awesome.
Yeah. Seriously, he's been great for the Knicks, but I feel like that's that part of the Knicks defense is kind of glaring in this series. The other thing I wanted to ask you guys is the Knicks thing that always happens to the Knicks with Tibbs' coaching style and him burning these guys out and playing as hard as they are. Either of these teams, they have to go up next if they advance and finish out this series here. Are they going to burn out against the Miami? Are they going to that? You would think if Milwaukee gets there, they'd be burnt out trying to cover Giannis.
Knicks Heat would be a war.
I think that would be a war. Because I think both teams would just try that game or that series. I think would go 6 or 7. Milwaukee, I think, would smoke the Knicks. But if Miami gets there, I don't think it's going to be as tough for the Knicks. It's tough for Miami too. I think Miami, like Bam's going to be like, you're going to have to play physical, Bam. You can't be playing how you've been playing so far. And on the other end, the Knicks are like, well, you got to find someone to cover Jimmy Butler. Because I'll tell you what, Julius Randle's not doing it. RJ Barrett's not doing it. Josh Hart, maybe a little bit, but
a little bit.
Good luck.
I mean, that's going to be a war for both teams based on how they have to match up against the other. But I would love to see that series. I really would, because I think that could go 7 games. Plus Jimmy at the Garden. I mean,
they start showing all those old '90s highlights too. All the brawls and the physicality. It'd be great. The atmosphere, the Garden would be. The Garden, I'm with it. If the Garden gets a second round series against the Heat, that it would be electric. That game 1 would be fucking amazing. The Garden's been awesome. Friday night and Sunday afternoon Garden playoff games. I don't take that for granted, even watching it as a Cavs fan. That Friday night game sucked, but Sunday it was a great atmosphere beer the whole way through. Spike just yelling at everybody. Good times.
What series you guys want to go to next here? I hate seeing all these the 3-1 leads on the board.
Well, we got three 3-1s tonight we can talk about.
Yeah, what do you want to touch on, Donnie, before you have to go?
I know what Donnie wants to talk about.
Yeah, I know. That was a setup.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics. Had me worried there in game 3. Game 4. I feel like they kind of showed they're about. Murray and Trae Young purely scoring have been impressing me in this series. Yeah. At least the 2 games in Atlanta, because the two before that in Boston got out of hand. But no DeJounte Murray tonight. I mean, I'm sure you guys are on the same page with me. I think it's done. I don't think they have to mess around and go back to Atlanta in this series. I think it's almost a failure if they do and drop this game tonight. But Rob Williams, it was all said the other night after the game in our group chat, but we'll just echo it here. The production we're getting from Derek White, Rob Williams, Malcolm Brogdon.
I love Derek White so much.
The others, as Shaq and Charles would love to talk about on TNT. But yeah, it's just, what do those championship teams need, or teams that make deep runs? It's they need the other guys to step up. And, the Jays both had 31 last game, but you just, you're getting the points from Smart. You're getting the non-turnovers from Smart and Brogdon. You're getting the defense from White. You're getting the defense from Rob. You're getting the scoring all up and down the roster. It's a beautiful sight to see. I'm more confident about this team than, the team we had last year, even if it looked like the team we had last year was a little bit more dominant.
I would agree, because I think, the addition of Brogdon, having that guy come off the bench that you could rely on not to score, but to be a playmaker, to also play defense, as well as having Rob Will come off the bench, who is one of the best interior defenders, if not the best, in basketball when he's on the floor. To be able to do that, come off the bench when you're playing a little small with your starting lineup, is incredible. Derek White, we talked about. The big difference, I think, from the Celtics from last year to this year, Donnie, they added Brogdon, and Derek White has become a big point of this team, right? Last year was still kind of feeling out a little bit, seeing what you got out of Derek White. No one expected him to play how he has this year. Derek White has been sensational for the Celtics. And then the big thing here too, and this is one that I really think people don't talk about as much, Marcus Smart's starting to play well. And if Smart plays well, you've got another world-class defensive guard who can, be a little bit of a threat offensively too. And when you have that, how do you counter this team? That's the thing. Tatum's getting the rebounds. Horford's getting the rebounds. Rob Will has been fantastic defensively.
Crazy on the glass.
And then you have Jaylen Brown and Tatum, where Tatum, who's been playing well, hasn't even been shooting that well so far this series.
No.
Like, you haven't seen peak Tatum yet, but it just looks so easy. It looks effortless. And this is a team I've never been more confident in the Boston Celtics than I am right now, even from the start of the playoffs. Seeing those first 4 games, it's like they're ready. They've turned it up a notch for playoff basketball. And if you're a Philly fan, you're worried. Because it's a terrible matchup. It's a terrible matchup for Philly.
This is just a Philly fan. It's their nightmares. They see this in their nightmares every time. It's just the Celtics coming in and destroying their hopes. I mean, it's going to be great as an outside observer to this. I can't wait. I just love it. I'm with you. The Celtics look like the clear and far and away favorite in the East and the West right now. Like, any of these West contenders, if you see them making it out, like if they match up against the Celtics, there are huge holes that the Celtics can exploit. And when it comes down to the East, especially if Giannis is hampered and they don't even get out of that first round, like, I don't care what Jimmy's doing. I don't trust that team against Boston at this point. And then anybody else on that other side of the bracket, like, no. That's the Knicks or the Cavs. Like, no, neither of those teams are going to do anything to Boston. They can't score 100 points in a game. Like, that series is 90s basketball at this point. It's a different sport. So yeah, Boston's a pretty safe pick, I think, to get to the conference finals and be a pretty heavy favorite once they're in there.
I tell you what, if the Heat end up eliminating Milwaukee, I think Boston, you got to lay money to have them win the East at that point. I think their odds to win the East because I think they're favored that much against Philly, Knicks, or Miami. I just really do. So I haven't seen anything that has made me, I don't know, like concerned at all, Dunny. I look at this team and I just
me neither.
They're just kind of going through the motions and they're still just the Hawks. You just don't even feel like the Hawks are in the game.
And no DeJounte Murray.
Even when they come within like 6-8 points. Well, yeah, tonight I think Boston's favored by 14. It'll be a disaster if they lose that game. But I think this is a game maybe the Hawks cover because the Celtics just win by 10. They get up big early and they just coast.
Yeah,
like,
13's crazy.
Let's stay healthy for Philly.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is I think the one team we would have to be worried about would be Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And on paper, it kind of looks scary because you're like, okay, here's this Philly team that's already waiting for you. They swept the Nets. They didn't look that good, man.
No.
And this isn't the Celtics fan not being afraid of Philly because if any year I have been, it's this year because they have James Harden. They have Tyrese Maxey, who's come out of his shell and has been amazing for them.
Good, yeah.
Embiid's the MVP, but just the first series was not encouraging at all. If you're, just outside looking in, no bias. If we're talking, I have no thoughts on this series other than just looking at that. Like I would have thought the same thing. Philly did not look good. They did not impress.
It was the least impressive sweep I think we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
You watch that sweep and no one's like, oh, Philly, watch out for Philly. I think we're like, probably expected against a Brooklyn team where they got a new
Brooklyn overmatch.
Number one in Mikal Bridges, who really hasn't been a one before. They just have a mismatch of guys on their team. But B, you're right, Dunny. Like, yeah, they won pretty, comfortably in most of the games against Brooklyn, but it never looked like, oh, Philly's dominant.
Yeah. And then Joel with the, no one ever wants anyone to be injured, right? But the fact of the matter is Joel has a right knee sprain. Yeah. And he was already going to have to carry the entire load for this team if they had any chance against the Celtics. And it's like, what does that look like? What does Joel Embiid playing max minutes look like when he has a right knee sprain or a knee sprain? Like what? We don't know. So I just think there's so many question marks with Philly, and going in, they kind of looked like the team that scared me the most. And with Milwaukee against the backs against the wall, like it's crazy to think what this Eastern Conference Finals could look like as of today. Yeah, but
I'd feel good if I were you. You got the Bruins handling business, Celtics handling business.
That's why
Stevie Boston feels good. Stevie Boston feels good.
Stevie Boston, the real Boston rep here, he's feeling great.
Stevie Boston's feeling great. I'll tell you what, though, it's fun watching these teams. These teams are playing how I want them to play. This is fun.
It's sizing up great for this podcast, though. If the Cavs get eliminated and the Lakers win tomorrow night, because you know exactly where Jake's going to, right?
I know. I thought I'd be able to recruit you.
I already said it today. Oh, no. There's no
I thought I'd be able to recruit you, but LeBron's playing way too well.
No.
Way too good for that.
Oh, no. I said the Cavs are dead. Like, I hope they lose tomorrow. Let's just get them done. Get the Lakers in. I can move on. What I really want is Lakers Warriors, though. Like, just for this, the drama, the theater.
Everyone
give me it.
That.
I don't even care what happens. I really won't be mad if the Warriors win. Like, I would just really want to see. We all deserve that series. Like, at least once. And will be incredible. All right, Dunny, you got to get out of here, bud.
Yeah,
our boy Connor. This is your parting message. Our boy Connor says Joel is a fraud.
Shout out JBC.
I agree with that.
I love it.
So
the Time Lord's gonna really make Embiid life hell, dude.
Hell yeah! I'm hoping for it. I'll see you guys on the other side. You guys are gonna close out the show.
We got 3 series left.
See you, Donnie.
Here,
fellas.
Steve. I did not mean to do that.
We're back.
I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to do that. All right. You need to tell me what's going on in Nuggets T-Wolves right now, because this is the series I've watched the least of. I admitted to you guys before the podcast. I
It's
just
been
thought
on
the
at like
Nuggets were going to
10:30
run.
every night. So
Yeah,
I can't
dude,
blame
I've been
you.
trying. Yeah, but I did see most of the last game and see Ant go off and stave off elimination for the Wolves. I just imagine this is pretty much done here. Is there anything? I guess the thing I want to ask about the Wolves, like anything, any bright side, any sign of positivity going forward? Bad body language from Cat and other things aside.
I mean, Cat's had a tough series. He played poorly in the first couple games. He's been in foul trouble for pretty much the whole series. If you want to be encouraging for a T-Wolves fan, Ant's grown up fast, and he's 21 years old. He's 21 years old. He's grown up fast, and he's been the sole reason that the T-Wolves are in this game, didn't get swept. I mean, and what's crazy, too, a lot of people went to sleep earlier in Game 4. The T-Wolves were up 12 with like 3 minutes to go. And the Nuggets somehow force overtime, and then Ant makes a couple big shots in overtime to keep them in the series, I guess, or win a game at home. Ant-Man's been incredible. Towns has been disappointing. You know what you expect with Rudy. And we kind of said this too. They don't really have the role players they should have going into this series because of injuries to various guys. Now, obviously McDaniels and Naz Reid being the two big ones. But what I will say though is the Nuggets haven't really had to been tested so far, if that makes sense. Where we had, like, Jokic played incredible in Game 4. He's had a very good series, but we expect that out of Jokic. Jamal Murray's been solid. He didn't play great in Game 4, but he's had a pretty solid series before then. And MPJ, you kind of know what you're going to get. But they really haven't been tested too much. They've never really been down big to Minnesota. They haven't really had to like overcome adversity besides obviously Game 4, that 12-point little, comeback to force overtime. So I can't really say too much about the Nuggets. I will say coming into the playoffs and then after watching the first 4 games, their defense has been a lot more impressive, but they're also facing Minnesota that has a lot of, not the most threatening.
Basically, we're not, and this is what I expect. This is what I kind of expected. We're not going to learn anything about the Nuggets until this next series, basically.
And that's kind of how I feel. And it's no disrespect to the Nuggets at all, but you look at Vegas too. I don't think Vegas is adjusting. I think the Nuggets are still plus 950 to win the NBA Finals. I don't think they're even favored in the next round series if they do face the Suns, who are up 3-1 against a Kawhi-less Clippers tonight.
Put them out tonight. Yep.
Could put them out tonight very easily. So you look at the Nuggets, they just haven't been tested. But I'm going to say this, they don't look bad, right? You're not watching the Nuggets and you're not concerned in any way. Brown's been pretty good off the bench. Bruce Brown, not Christian. And it's the same story with the Nuggets, right? Jokic has just been out of this world, unbelievable. His footwork's incredible. His playmaking sensational. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are going to get theirs. Eric Gordon can have, flashes here and there. But at the end of the day, it's like they're playing a 5-man rotation. The only one really off the bench is Brown, who they really trust. Other than that, it's kind of, you don't trust Green. I don't trust Christian Brown, even though I know that's what they want to be able to trust him. But they haven't shown me anything to the point where I'm like, oh, this is going to be a problem for the Suns. The Nuggets are handling their business like we expected them to. Minnesota has probably played worse than I expected in terms of not just on the Nuggets side, but just Minnesota. Towns has been bad. Gobert's been meh. The role players have been very bad. And then Ant-Man's just kind of carrying them. But I don't think there's any concerns from the Nuggets either. The defense looks better than it did in the regular season. You expect that. Obviously, in a playoff series, the defense is going to get ramped up a little bit. But I think you're right, Jay. We don't really listen until they face, I'm going to say probably Phoenix. Most likely Phoenix. I think after tonight, I can say will face Phoenix. So, and the books are really not. They're in the same boat, right? Nuggets still 950 to win the finals. They're still
their opinion hasn't changed at all.
Best odds. It hasn't changed. So yeah, the Nuggets have looked good. They're handling their business, but nothing has changed in my opinion of they are a 1 seed. They can go to the finals here, and I just think Phoenix is going to be a bad matchup for him. If Ant-Man's doing what he wants to do offensively right now, imagine trying to stop Booker. And
That was my next point going into this series, is that I think the Suns get it done tonight. We look at the Suns just from a big picture standpoint. You know, you can say, oh my God, look at the minutes Durant's playing. Oh my God, look at the minutes Paul's playing right now. Oh my God, look at what they're having to do to beat this team without whatever. The Clippers are good without Kawhi. They've had to play without Kawhi so much. That's like their normal state. They're a good team without Kawhi regardless. We've seen that at this point. So the Suns should be able to handle it, but it's not like they're going to put them out easy even tonight without Kawhi. It's not like it's going to be an easy affair.
Westbrook won't go down without a fight. He won't.
Exactly. And Russ has been awesome.
He's been incredible this series. So all those Westbrook haters, shut your mouth.
Yeah, Russ has been amazing.
And you're not going to be able to talk when the Suns win 4-1. You can't say anything because Russ is the only reason that the Clippers have even won. Well, Kawhi had a great first game.
Yes, and that's the thing I wanted to say too.
He said that they're been competitive. He's been out of this world.
Yeah, that's the thing I wanted to say too, is that the one game they got in this, and everybody, we wanted to talk about Kawhi, and on our podcast last week, we were talking about Kawhi looking the way he did and everything else. And that's the one, it took a superhuman Kawhi effort to beat this Suns team. Exactly. And that's their only loss with Kevin Durant. Exactly. So the way I'm looking at it is the Suns just still look unbeatable. Like there's nothing that shows you that that you're going to be able to beat them 4 times. It took them a superhuman effort from one of the greatest playoff performers of all time. And then he literally, to the point where probably his body broke down and now he's hurt like he usually is. And the Suns are going to dispatch this team. And then you look ahead, like we were talking about, to this Nuggets series, which we've all been thinking, I think we all thought we were going to end up with Nuggets Suns, and really probably the 2 best teams in the West, honestly, on paper, what we were looking at. And the Suns, I just don't think the Nuggets have any, like you said, have any answers.
Best defender?
Bruce Brown. What are their answers? I guess Aaron Gordon is going to be on Durant. Like, that's not an answer.
Stop. No, that's not an answer. Not at all. And that's the thing, too. And I'll tell you what, Devin Booker's starting to play the best basketball he's played this season. He's really starting to pop off this series. And if you're going into a series against Phoenix with a hot Devin Booker and a hot KD, you cannot get away with the defense the Nuggets have been playing this year.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, too. The Phoenix Suns are not going to care with Jokic. They will let Jokic do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
Because they know on the other end, they're going to get whatever they want. So my opinion just hasn't changed on either of these teams. They're both up 3-1 in the series. Both series has kind of gone how I've expected. Obviously, didn't expect Phoenix to lose game 1, but like you said, Kawhi will just, we said it before, Kawhi will just carry a team to win sometimes. And the Clippers, who we said before the Paul George injury, before the Kawhi injury, and yes, those are huge injuries, but we said it's one of the deepest rosters in the NBA. They have good players. They still have a solid team, but it's just the Phoenix Suns just, I mean, when you have Booker and KD clicking how they are right now, Chris Paul also, too, is going from hell, going against Russell Westbrook, then having Jamal Murray guard him. That's going to be a huge difference from him. Might help him play a little more loose, open him up a little bit. I look at the Suns team and it still screams bad matchup for the Nuggets. So if both teams, which I expect to win their series, I think Suns tonight, maybe Minnesota steals another because Ant-Man's been that good. But either way, I expect these teams to match up in the second round. And I just look at it and I go, it's still the matchup to me just screams mismatch for Phoenix, where Phoenix just has the advantage here.
Yep, your buddy, your partner Meerkat is not going to be happy hearing that.
No, he won't. He won't. Good thing he's on a flight right now and he's not listening to this.
Yeah, good thing, Meerkat. We won't. I'll edit this out. Won't even know what's happening.
Clip it all out.
Yeah. See you later. That never even happened. But I'm with
Nuggets in 4, baby.
here's what we're looking at: a potential Suns versus Lakers or Warriors, and Celtics versus Heat or Knicks. Conference finals.
Yeah. Which
that is honestly as close to perfection from the NBA standpoint and ratings and everything else as you can ask for with the storylines we could get out of all those matchups.
If the NBA can somehow find a way to get Celtics Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals and then have LeBron against Steph, KD. And the winner doesn't even matter. Yeah, the winner just faces KD, regardless if it's LeBron or Steph. That is dream scenario. That is dream scenario for the NBA. That is, you can't write a better script, right? You cannot write a better script.
Maybe they're writing it right now. Who knows?
They probably are. It's probably been written for a whole year, Jake.
Yeah.
And they're reading it over
it's
right
sizing
now.
Up pretty well. It's sizing up pretty well. Yeah, I guess Steph versus KD or LeBron versus KD in a conference finals. You can't really go wrong either way with one of those. You can't really go wrong. But that's why I'm so worried about the Kings, man. Like, I feel so bad for Kings fans because there's going to be some shady calls against them, even if it doesn't cost them a game. There's going to be some moments in these games where you're like, Steph is getting every call in these big moments.
I will say that, but I also think too sometimes the way the Kings play, it's hard to make calls against the Kings because they're playing so fast, they're shooting so quickly. It's one of those things where they're not going to rely on trying to get fouls down low. They're going to shoot their open shots. And then the thing I like about the Kings, it does not matter who it is who's on the floor. If they're open, they're firing it away. And maybe I know we say all this, but if there's a team that can go toe-to-toe with the Warriors, we've seen 4 games so far, I think it's the Sacramento Kings. I really do. And I'll tell you what, if we get to game 7, that game's in Sacramento, and that is the biggest game of the Kings franchise in the last 15 years. That would be the biggest game of that franchise in the last 15 years. And
it's just another Saturday for the Warriors.
It's just another Saturday. But I'll tell you what, sometimes when you get the crowd behind you like that, when you get the players like that, we'll see. We'll see. I think the Kings, even if it gets to 7 games, which I think it will, and I think it will go back to Sacramento. And right now, I do think Golden State wins just because I will not bet against Steph Curry. But if that's the case, I'll tell you what, Jake, they're not going down without a fight. That is not an easy win.
Oh, no, definitely not. Team. No. This series is going to be a war. It's probably going to be a classic. I'm very excited that it's happening the way it is. And
another thing, too, like I know we're both on Celtics Suns just based on matchups. Yeah, obviously, if they win tonight and then next round, playing Philly or playing Denver, we still got to say, 2 MVP are the guys who've been in MVP discussion past 3 years, Jokic and Embiid. We talk about Kawhi stealing games. Those guys are very capable of taking over a game themselves. So got to keep that in mind. I don't think it's going to be like a 4 or 5 games. I think we're going to have lengthier.
I think we got some wars. Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah, this first round, we like Dunny said, a lot of 3-1s on our board right now, which I was not really expecting, to be honest. But just the kind of way the injuries broke and the way the series have broke, it makes a lot of sense the way it's coming down. Yeah. All right, anything else before we get out of here?
I think we're good. Just time to watch some playoff basketball.
Yeah,
you got any predictions for tonight, dude? We got 3 heavy favorites. Any upsets, or are we just getting three favorites winning?
I think our teams are just getting out, cleaning house, get through these game 5s. I think tomorrow is way more interesting.
Yeah. Tomorrow's way more interesting.
Tomorrow, why
Lakers, Grizzlies, Heat, Bucks, Warriors.
You realize how
Kings?
stressful 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock Central for me is going to be with those 2 games at the same time.
That's right. Lakers are early.
Time. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, because they're in Memphis. Yeah.
I think the teams clean up business tonight. I think the Cavs will win tomorrow. I think the Lakers handle tomorrow. I think Milwaukee fights off. Yeah, I think Milwaukee fights off, and I think that the Kings win and go into game 6 in Golden State, the chance to move on.
I'm going pretty much the same, but I'm going Grizzlies instead of Lakers. Cavs, Grizzlies, Milwaukee, Kings. And then tonight, I think it's the favorites, but don't be surprised if Ant-Man steals one again, because he's been.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised about the Wolves at all. Would not be shocked. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked about the Hawks more than anybody else. If the Hawks win out of any of the 7 series, if the Hawks win the next game tonight, I would be the most surprised.
Stevie Boston wouldn't like that.
No, Stevie Boston would be upset. Can't upset Stevie Boston. All right, let's go watch some hoops. See you later, folks.
See you guys.